What's going on YouTube? Counting Gains back here again for another massive video. I know you guys have all been waiting for this one, man. So this is Andrew Tate defends himself against Piers Morgan. Even the way this video is titled, guys, defending himself, it's almost like he's done something wrong, which he hasn't, guys. You know what I mean? I will be defending Andrew Tate, if anything, guys. So, but yeah, Piers Morgan, guys, he is probably the worst person in the entire journalist community for interviewing people, guys. He acts like these people are his friends, but he's not, guys. You know, these people are just kind of like, you know what I mean, they're just, you know, they just don't like him. They're only trying to go on the show to get publicity. The only reason Tate went on this show probably is to get publicity. I think the actual show probably will come out Friday or Saturday or Thursday this week, guys. Some big day on YouTube. Piers Morgan himself has had to move because he says he's uncensored, but you know, a lot of the comments are saying that he's, you know, interrupting him and actually trying to censor Tate and trying to almost throw him under the bus, guys. So we're gonna break this one down. It should be absolutely hilarious. So let's get straight to it, man. Make sure, guys, to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Other things to react to. I'm reacting to everything, guys. Politics stuff, everything, guys. Music. I love my rap music, all that stuff. So let's get it.
Andrew Tate's the most famous man you've probably never heard of, but the chances are your children will have videos.
What? Andrew Tate's a man you've probably never heard of, but he's the most Googled guy in the world. He has 13 billion views worldwide on Google. He's more Googled than Trump or Biden or any president or any. He's the most famous person in the world. But Piers Morgan says he's not, that you haven't heard of him. Chances are you have heard of him, guys. Like,
Andrew Tate's the most famous man you've probably never heard of, but the chances are your children will have. Videos of Tate have been viewed billions of times online. He's built an enormous following of mostly young men, and his often scandalous views about women that have made him notorious across the world.
That's his view, guys. Yeah, he doesn't really say anything scandalous about women, but he'll defend himself, guys. You know what I mean?
Just like this.
So I think my sister is her husband's property, yes. When a bride is walking down the aisle to marry the groom, the father walks next to her and gives her away. True or false?
Tate's opinions on mental illness are equally controversial.
I don't believe in depression. Don't listen to me about depression because I don't believe in it.
I don't think you guys should believe in it either, guys. You know what I mean? Everyone feels depressed at some point in time, guys. If it's like once a week or a couple times a month, guys, but you shouldn't let it overcome you, guys. You have to not believe in that bullshit. Don't even believe in mental health stuff. You know what I mean? If you don't believe in it, then you're not giving it power, guys. Completely disregard the shit. Say, no, it's complete cap. Leave it, guys. Depression, BS.
Believe in depression. Don't message me about depression because I don't believe in it. If you're asleep in your bed in the middle of the night and you hear a noise and you believe in ghosts, now you're afraid. But if you don't believe in ghosts, it's the wind and you go back to sleep. You give the ghosts power by believing in them.
Well, there's some every major social media platform banned.
That's so funny, guys. Obviously, you know what I mean? Maybe clinical depression, if you experience something where like your whole family gets blown up in front of you, is probably real. But for the most part, guys, 99% of people don't qualify for that. Like, you're not getting, you know, some, you know, terrible things can happen to you, but most times it doesn't, guys. It's just people saying, oh, I can't get a job, so I'm depressed. It's like, it's BS, guys, you know what I mean?
And Tate, amid a global backlash and concerns about his influence on the young people who watch him. But copies of his videos are still shared millions of times every day. This show is called Uncensored. One of the challenges views directly, so he flew from Romania to sit here in this studio, and the full explosive interview airs later this week. Here's a bit of what's to come. Do you respect women?
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Do you think that 18...
I mean, this is like a loaded question. Like, do you respect women? It's like, who's going to say no to that? Obviously, everybody does, right? It's just such an odd... Piers Morgan's just... Oh, man.
19-year-old women are more attractive than 25-year-old women.
I think there's attractive people. That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Well, it's not really, is it?
I can't.
You know why I'm asking you?
Of course I do, but I can't sit here and
for
say.
For the benefit of viewers who don't know why I'm asking, you said this. In general, this is also one of the reasons men find youth attractive. You want to block the internet? I'll block the internet right effing now. The reason
I was on the Nelk podcast, actually.
18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. People say, oh, you can't say that, but yes, I can. A 19-year-old is more attractive than a 26-year-old woman, and I'll tell you why. Because that 26-year-old has talked to more guys, been to the club more times, been effed and dumped more times, more arguments, more mess, more for me to clean up. That is misogyny.
Why?
Because you are encouraging a mindset about 25-year-old women that makes them sound out to be infinitely less desirable than 18, 19-year-olds, and having effectively been having too much sex to be taken in a more respectful way.
Well, firstly, even if that was the case, that wouldn't be misogyny.
But what did you mean by what you said?
That's not misogyny because it's not anti-women. I'm saying
it's like ageist or whatever.
That an 18 or a 19-year-old woman would be more desirable.
Pretty anti-25-year-old woman.
Anti-25-year-old women we can argue, but not misogyny.
Well, that's misogyny then.
No, it's not.
Well, being anti any woman at all is misogyny.
Not when I'm saying that women are beautiful and attractive at a certain age and saying that ageist.
You're saying 18, 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25.
Well, than ageist perhaps, but misogynistic absolutely.
Is that
not.
But you just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
If a 26-year-old woman.
See, a lot of people in society, guys, and this is the way society has made it. You know, this is the terrible circumstance that we have nowadays, guys. A lot of people say that men, you know, they hit their wall when people stop listening to them. You know, whether they're a rapper or a movie, you know, director or a movie artist or whatever. You know, guys in an actor or whatever. They hit their wall, so to speak, when people stop listening to them, when people stop watching their movies, when people stop reading their books. But women hit their wall with their beauty, guys. You know, and age plays a part in that. You can prevent that. I know 30-year-olds that look like 21-year-olds, you know, because they take care of their body, they work out a lot. But for the most part, guys, like, you know what I mean, people look at that. Like, it's the same when you see a guy, if he doesn't take care of himself and he looks older, it doesn't really matter, but what has he done in his life, guys? What is his legacy, you know? It's harsher for guys, guys. Like, if you're a dustbin man or one of these kind of guys, you don't get any love from anything. You know what I mean? You just don't get anything, guys. It's just like, that's the way it is, guys. You know what I mean? And if you fail to understand that, I mean, that's just on you. That is your reality, guys.
Just accepted it was misogyny.
No, I didn't. You said it was misogyny. I'm telling you, no, it's not.
If a 26-year-old woman is watching this and has heard those comments,
yeah,
would you just say to her, look, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that?
No, I won't. I will say that I am sorry that offends you. However, there's a large contingent of the world.
That doesn't mean you're sorry.
No, I'm not sorry. That's the point I'm making. I'm sorry if that offends you. However, there's a large contingent of the world that believe that, and I was mediating for a conversation.
Parts of the world that believe that about 26-year-old women are parts of the world where women are not allowed out on their own.
That's a conversation.
They have to wear full burqas.
Well, that's a conversation.
They're not allowed to drive cars.
That's nothing to do with me.
But is that the
Why does he keep interrupting? This is like the 10th time he's interrupted him. What is going on?
Wear full burqas.
Well, that's a conversation.
They're not allowed to drive cars.
That's nothing to do with me.
But is that the kind of world for women that you?
I was mediating a conversation.
No, I'm asking you what you think.
I don't live in a country where that happens.
You're using that as the excuse for why you're not sorry for saying it.
It's not an excuse.
Is that there are parts of the world where this is fine? So my question to you is, well, do you think it's fine?
So he's conflating two different things, guys. You know what I mean? That's what Piers Morgan does. He tries to rope you in into kind of something that's like, you know, misogynistic when he's not actually meant to doing that. You know, he's just simply trying to say like, yo, like, you know, older women, there's just a lot more to unpack a lot of the time. You know, it's kind of tough, guys. Yeah, it is an odd one to unpack. You know, it is an odd one to unpack.
I don't think it's fine. I live in a world where...
You don't think it's fine?
The reason
This isn't that hard, Andrew. You can simply say, Piers, you know what? With the benefit of hindsight, I wish I hadn't said it like that. And if a 26-year-old woman's watching, I'm sorry I said that, because that actually is blatantly misogynist. And even though that's a view held by other parts of the world, it's not a view I share. Now, I would respect you more if you said that than if you try and say, well, it's said in other parts of the world, so I'm not sorry.
I think
that doesn't tell me what you think.
Then you need to understand why my content existed in the first place. My content existed because I tried my very hardest to be an absolute and utter realist, especially with uncomfortable truths. I was pointing out that very uncomfortable...
Is that a truth?
It's an uncomfortable truth in many parts of the world. It's not a truth that I'm happy about.
An inquest this week found that a 14-year-old girl, Molly Russell, died from an act of self-harm while suffering from depression and the negative effects of online content. The coroner said she was exposed to material that may have influenced her in a negative way, and in addition, what started as depression had become a much more serious depressive illness, and she very sadly took her life.
That's absolutely disgusting.
Right. Her father...
It's terrible.
Her father's campaign for better protections against potentially dangerous social media algorithms, right? It says that the particularly graphic content she saw romanticized acts of self-harm, normalized her condition, and focused on a limit...
Wait a second, guys. This girl took her own life, which that's horrendous, guys, but she viewed content that romanticized self-harm. That's very strange. Now, to my understanding, on TikTok and on YouTube, it's very heavily censored, guys. You can't put anything on YouTube. And I actually kind of, to a degree, agree with that, guys. I don't want to see ISIS beheadings. I don't want to see any of this crazy shit, guys. I don't want to see crazy shit like, you know what I mean, 2 girls, 1 cup, any of this crazy shit, you know what I mean? That freaking, you know, people used to share back in college. I don't want to see that on YouTube, guys, because that's not a good platform. What platform was that 14-year-old on that she could view content that romanticizes hurting yourself? Because that's on YouTube, guys. I don't know if that's on YouTube. Romanticize. That sounds like some sort of novel, like some Shakespearean novel or something, guys. That doesn't sound like... Or TikTok. I think TikTok has some of the most, stringent, censorship laws, as well as YouTube. I'm not sure about TikTok. I won't be on. But something like Twitter, guys, you can post anything on Twitter. You can post porn. You can post anything on Twitter, guys. It's insane. Compared to YouTube, you can't post anything, guys. I posted a video about the milk crate challenge, where people in the hood and stuff in America were climbing up milk crates back like a year and a half ago. The shit got actually a strike. It gave me a strike, but it took it back once it realized what it did or whatever. But it striked my channel, like, because it said harmful content. Like, if that's harmful content because people were falling over and it was really funny, like that was like the biggest thing in the world at the time, then what the hell was she on, guys? That's a very strange, like, what maybe Instagram? I'm not really sure. I don't understand that.
It's an irrational view without any counterbalance of normality. First of all, what is your response to that? Nothing to do with you.
That's the first thing. Yeah, it is nothing to do with me. The fact that a 14-year-old girl took her life is truly sad. The world we live in today is... The fact that something like that happened is almost mind-blowing to me. That's truly sad. I actually feel sad inside to see something like that.
What has come...
I would say it's more of a bullying issue, in schools. That's probably... but they don't want to blame schools and other people because, they want to blame characters online. It's probably bullying in school, guys. Like, I saw a lot of bullying and shit like that in school. It was horrendous, honestly, looking back on the shit. But
clear to me in the interview is that a lot of things you say you wouldn't say now that you've said before.
Well, so I'd say it differently, perhaps.
Yeah, right. So to me, that's an acceptance. Not just that you want to get back on platforms, because maybe that was one of the reasons you were no platform.
He doesn't care.
Platform. But that you've recognized and understood the potential harm to the wrong kind of impressionable mind by some of the things you've said. Would that be fair?
I think that's 80% fair. I recognize and understand that with massive fame, you have to be more careful about being misconstrued. Like I said earlier, 1% of people misunderstanding you doesn't matter with a small audience. It matters with a very large audience. With power comes responsibility. I still believe the things I say. I do not want to be a negative force for the world. I also understand that I am a man who's lived a very difficult, nuanced life, and I am capable of making nuanced points that may be misunderstood by teenagers. However, that can be said about anybody and everything. Every opinion online can be misunderstood by children. Trying to protect children from the internet is a very interesting subject in and of itself, because I would argue that 80% of the content on the internet can be negative or detrimental to a young mind that doesn't understand the world.
It's interesting they brought up that protecting people from harmful content and stuff. This is a very interesting conversation I had with my brother recently. And basically, guys, what I was talking about, and if you watch any documentaries on school shootings or violence in America, a lot of times, guys, and let's not even talk about internet stuff in on itself, because they always blame Call of Duty. America goes overseas and bombs these innocent countries, and they start all these crazy wars and stuff like that. And you don't think that Trump and Biden and all these people, Obama, have influences on people in society? If their troops are going over killing innocent people, bombing innocent kids and all this shit in freaking Iraq and Afghanistan and stuff like that, for obviously, a benefit of like oil or whatever the agenda was, you don't think that influences people back home in America where all the school shootings are? They said that before the Columbine massacre, it was the #1 biggest day where they set off the most bombs ever in Iraq or Afghanistan, someplace in the Middle East anyway, guys. Go figure, And, does that influence people? Like, does killing loads of innocent people and, maybe terrorists? I agree, like, America should be invading these places because it's terrorists, right? You don't want ISIS running around. You gotta cut it off. You gotta nip that in the bud. But what the government does in general, what it shows you on the news, guys, does that influence you? Because in my opinion, I think that shit influences you just as much as any internet or just as much as any, person, guys, is seeing actual news, guys, seeing, influential news stories or, whatever, or the government making decisions to, do certain things in society. So, what do you guys think, man? Leave in the comments down below. Very interesting conversation, man. I did this 15 minutes long. I love you guys all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.